Scott the Woz is one of the most hilarious and entertaining content creators making YouTube content today, with his wacky comedy and well-presented thoughts on video games that manages to keep the DIY feel of a lot of early YouTube videos with the modern polish and sensibilities of today. He's a big inspiration for me, and it's super cool to see him grow so fast and get noticed by many other creators I look up to. His content isn't anything groundbreaking for the internet, but he still has a unique voice to his writing style and makes entertaining reviews and editorials with that voice. He recently celebrated 200th episode with the special Borderline Forever, and it may just be his best work yet. But why is that? Well, time to analyze and look through the 200th episode of Scott the Woz, Borderline Forever. The video starts off with an educational parody PSA about how to review video games, which is a funny satire about all the tropes involved in video game reviews, like screaming, the Nemesis game, swearing, etc., with a bunch of cameos from various content creators watching along, which makes for a fun game of, oh, I know that guy. After that, we get a good old song and dance about stupid Nintendo games, along with a 30-minute retrospective about the pros and cons of Nintendo consoles from the NES to Switch. But when he's playing Super Mario 3D World, Scott notices a blue border. And then he notices that he's been surrounded by the blue border this entire time. Yes, this is the episode where Scott acknowledges the blue border watermark throughout his series, and starts to have an existential crisis about it, which leads him to visit the fan-favorite character, the Therapist. With the Therapist's help, Scott goes into his brain where an interesting musical number takes place, and not because of how different the genre punk rock is from the usual Scott the Woz original music, but because of the lyrics. They reference various running gags from the show, and Scott seems to be sick of it. He literally says he wants to break the mold and not to follow a path, implying that he feels limited by this weekly video game discussion show. I could be reading too much into it, and I don't think Scott hates what he's created, but I think the song is simply him venting his frustrations with some of the downsides of producing such a popular show with the expectations and anxieties that come with it. But enough of that thoughtful analytical stuff, because we got various other side characters from Scott the Woz lore coming in and being annoyed by the blue border as well. Scott and the gang attempt to inform the masses about the border through a Jack Swing cameo, but fail, and Ohio ends up being consumed by the blue— Wait a minute, is that Linkara? This is awesome! Oh, anyway, Scott and the gang go up to space to defeat the blue border once and for all. However, the cover athlete of Madden 09, Brett Vaughn, attempts to stop our heroes, but Vince Young, cover athlete of Madden 08, stops him, leaving Scott and the rest to stop the blue border, but it can't be defeated, so Scott bonds with the border so only he can be mildly annoyed by it, meaning the world is saved. There's many great things about Borderline Forever that make it a masterpiece, and the bare bones plot recap didn't do them all justice. It feels like a culmination of the past 4.5 years of Scott the Woz, thanks to the many callbacks and references to past episodes in both big and small ways, which makes it feel like a grand celebration of the show on top of being just as funny as the usual Scott the Woz content. It's also very meta about the state of the YouTube game reviewing community through the opening skit, and even the state of Scott the Woz as a show by acknowledging the blue border and all the recurring gags being brought up. I'd even argue that Borderline Forever feels like the finale to Scott the Woz, and I would be content if this is where Scott stops, but I know Scott will probably keep on wozzing, so I look forward to what he makes next.